With the August 1st primary right around the corner, I wanted to know where candidates in the District 7 Seattle City Council race stood on the top issues, like homelessness, public safety, and the fentanyl crisis ravaging parts of downtown.
The corner of 3rd and Pike.
And who would be willing to walk with me through the crime hotspots and open-air drug dens? So I reached out to incumbent City Councilmember Andrew Lewis and the top 3 candidates who have raised the most money for their respective campaigns.
Driven by a commitment to community safety.
That includes Olga Sagan.
Seattle is in crisis and needs direction.
Aaron Marshall and Bob Kettle.
Encampments are an inhumane and inexcusable solution.
Lewis and Kettle never got back to me for an interview, but Sagan and Marshall did.
You see, it's not homelessness, it's mental illness and drug addiction.
I met Sagan outside her Piroshki Bakery on the 3rd Avenue side.
Look, keep looking at that.
The moment we arrived,
See, customers just walked away from my business. This is it.
a mentally ill woman interrupted a crowd of customers at her window.
You just lost
I
business.
just lost business.
Along with the drugs and crime, this is the reality Sagan says she deals with every single day as a business owner and downtown resident.
Andrew cannot solve it. He had chance.
But this is also why Sagan says she's running.
Because it is not safe in our city right now.
She believes her strengths as a successful entrepreneur will be enough to tackle some of the most pressing issues.
I don't believe that housing first will solve our problems. I feel that mental illness and accountability for drug addiction needs to come first.
Sagan also touts her hands-on problem solving.
Our system is not enforcing the laws.
She says drug addicts now stay away from her business because she decided to fight back,
We call out everyone who is not doing their job.
launching a grassroots media campaign to publicly shame the city into action.
If I can do that, I will do whatever it takes in next 4 years.
Sagan also courageously walked the notorious 3rd Ave and Pike Street corridor with me
People are suffering. That's what's going on.
and says if she wasn't running, Marshall would be her choice.
We can imagine what we want the city to be for everybody in the future.
Marshall is a Seattle police officer who's worked undercover in some of the most dangerous situations in the city.
I'm a frontline officer who lives in downtown Seattle, and I was sick and tired of being sick and tired.
And also moonlighted as a bartender in a past life.
I bartended at Pesos, I bartended at Teeny Bigs. I mean, I know this district more than anybody.
He says his strengths will be public safety and meeting his constituents in the field instead of operating behind a desk.
We're seeing people that are absolutely in crisis.
We took a stroll down 3rd Avenue and Cherry Street.
These are not the old school homeless encampments that we're used to. And they need to be treated as the open air drug markets now that they are.
And it sounds like you are open to interventions.
Yes, oh my gosh, we have to.
Constantly packed with drug addicts and dealers, setting up so-called trap tents to conduct illicit activity.
Imagine having a wheelchair or a walker or something that you couldn't get by. Do you want your grandmother to walk down here in her walker? You know?
And a lot of this spillover is from the downtown emergency service centers, Morrison and Lyon buildings,
The conditions are horrid.
serving formerly homeless residents who still deal with many challenges, including drug addiction and mental illness.
What we need to do is get them more support, and we need to spread it out a little bit. I think the idea originally was, hey, well, let's put all of our institutions in the same place so it's easily accessible. I think the idea was right, but it has completely deteriorated.
Marshall also shares Sagan's positions on tackling the big issues.
There is no way we can build enough housing. You do have to do clean, safe shelters first, and in those shelters you have to get these folks rehab. And this idea of harm reduction, of giving people the ability to do deadly drugs, is absurd to me.
And says he would be voting for her as well if he wasn't in the race.
Open to the idea of working with other people.
Pledging to defund the police by 50% was irresponsible.
As for Kettle, he's already attacking some of the other candidates through this flyer without mentioning their names, tying them to former Republican President Donald Trump.
Bob Kettle will not be able to solve it. He does not have experience what it is to walk the streets.
And Lewis is now dealing with the fallout of his own record on the job.
We're going to defund SPD. I mean, we're committed as a council to defunding SPD.
A new attack ad calling him out for being a dangerous flip-flopper on the top issues.
We need to solve the epidemic of violence and drugs in our downtown. As your council member, I've been leading the charge to address these concerns.
Do you know that Andrew Lewis is now running on his public safety record?
Oh yeah, I mean, what a joke. He's absolutely lying. I mean, he at this point, he couldn't get hired as a Seattle police officer, so you wouldn't get through the polygraph.
We do have to come out and vote and keep our officials accountable.
Sagan and Marshall both agree there's still time for undecided voters to turn out if they're tired of the status quo.